Welcome to Monday's edition of Everything Yesterday This Morning. I'm so glad to have you guys with me. I hope you had a great weekend. We'll get right into it. Google users will now be flagged for using politically incorrect words while searching as the technology giant launched an inclusive language function. The move of Google is to avoid the use of politically incorrect words. If a user terms if a user's term uses terms, if a user uses it's like a fucking Dr. Seuss novel. If a user uses terms deemed politically incorrect by Google, a message pops up that reads, quote, inclusive warning. Some of these words may not be inclusive to all readers. Consider using different words. One front that Google is looking to tackle is more gender inclusive and gender sensitive language. For example, gender specific terms such as policeman or housewife will be replaced by police officers and stay at home spouses. Users who are using the word landlord will be given a suggestion to use the more gender sensitive property owner or proprietor. I'm not sure why landlord is not gender inclusive, but whatever. Likewise, mankind is suggested to be replaced with humankind instead. Critics are questioning the intrusive nature of the move. Silky Carlo of Big Brother Watch said Google is not only reading every word you type, but telling you what to type. The speech policing is profoundly clumsy, creepy, and wrong, often reinforcing bias. Invasive tech like this undermines privacy, freedom of expression, and increasingly, freedom of thought. A Google spokesman said, our technology is always improving. We don't yet have a solution to identifying and mitigating all unwanted word associations and biases. This actually started last year with a move in Google Docs that prompted users to write in gender neutral language to avoid offending colleagues or friends. Using words such as chairman or fireman in the online word processor triggered the feature to suggest chairperson or firefighter instead. Here's why this is important. Google search engine optimization is driven by relevance. By forcing certain language, it will no longer organically feed articles, blogs, videos, etc., that do not utilize the same language in the search results. So I think it's less intended to police speech in the search process, even though I do agree that that is one of the ancillary results. It's intended to deter you from accessing unapproved articles or amplifying articles that don't utilize this type of language. So they're policing speech in a much broader fashion, I think, than what's being focused on. Oh, they're changing the search terms you can put in. But what nobody's talking about is on the back end of that, if I type firefighter and somebody used the word fireman in their text, the two don't communicate with one another. So you don't see the fireman language. You only see articles that are utilizing this type of language. So that's a really key important thing to pay attention to. So then they're forcing the people who want their text to be viewed or their articles to be viewed, they're forcing them to utilize certain language that plays into the algorithms. This also will be interesting from a free market perspective to see if people, start gravitating towards other types of search engines because they don't want to have to change the way that they search for things based off of Google's algorithm. So this one was incredibly interesting to me because you guys know how I feel about all this stuff. But okay, researchers, this is huge. I mean, it was already known, but it's huge that it's at least being acknowledged in the public sphere now. Researchers looked at COVID-19 immunity prior to emergence of the Omicron variant to help inform vaccine and infection control policy. In a study released in JAMA Network Open by investigators at Providence, one of the largest health systems in the United States, and the University of Chicago, found that the level of protection granted by prior symptomatic COVID-19 infections among unvaccinated individuals was on par with the level of protection granted by a prior with the level of protection provided by the mRNA vaccines, with natural immunity providing a longer window of protection than mRNA vaccinations. The study was conducted before the emergence of the highly transmissible Omicron variant in the United States. Prior COVID 19 infection was found to be 85% protective against reinfection and 88% protective against hospitalization, with protection from reinfection persisting for up to 9 months after the initial infection, as far as the researchers were able to explore. This is a direct quote. We found that the emergence of the Omicron variant natural immunity provided a similar degree of protection against COVID-19 infection as mRNA vaccination. That said, vaccination is considerably a safer way to acquire that immunity, said Ari Robisak, who is Providence's chief medical analytics officer and senior author of the study. So, it performs just like a virus. The study examined data from over 100,000 patients tested at 1,300 sites between October of 2020 and November of 2021. While many of us knew this based off of anecdotal experience, it's comforting to see it in print in a study that was so extensive. There should no longer be a mandate for vaccination in any realm, and this study supports that. Honestly, reading this one infuriated me. But I have to be careful because I have future monetization goals, and I do think that Anthony Fauci should be fired immediately, and every single person who is getting 4 to 5 boosters should probably stop injecting themselves with a hidden set of ingredients when natural immunity provides as good, if not better in some aspects, protection from the virus. General Motors will reportedly no longer be providing battery replacements for the all-electric version of the Chevy Spark. The Chevy Spark electrical vehicle was first released in 2013, and GM continued to make new models until 2016. A GM district executive confirmed that the company is no longer going to supply that battery, and their inventory of battery packs has run out as well, and the company does not plan on making any more. With the oldest model reaching almost 10 years old, vehicle owners may find themselves without a working car if their battery pack fails. GM offers an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty specifically for the battery pack in its Spark electrical vehicles and other electrical vehicles, which means the warranty has already run out for the vehicles released in 2013 and some so far in 2014. It's unclear if GM will continue to honor its warranty and somehow replace the battery pack in broken down Sparks, or, as EV Resource points out, if GM will offer to buy back the vehicle instead of replacing the battery. As GM works towards making and replacing battery packs in over 140,000 electric Chevy Bolts that were recalled last year due to fire risks, perhaps GM just doesn't have the bandwidth to create battery pack replacements for the Spark electrical vehicle. GM only resumed manufacturing Bolt EVs in early April, following a production freeze lasting several months, and also recently announced its plans to discontinue the non-electric version of the Chevy Spark sometime this year. But yes, everyone should just jump right on board with electrical vehicles because all the problems have been worked out and everything will be great. The House Oversight Republicans have launched an inquiry into whether Joe Biden rewarded political donors with contracts and government positions, the latest allegation of misconduct against the administration as it fends off ties to Hunter Biden's activities. Media reports indicate a pattern of businesses associated with donors receiving substantial amounts of taxpayer money. To ensure that political donations are not unduly influencing the administration's management of contracts and loans, we request documents and information about what, if any, safeguards and procedures are in place to protect taxpayers, the inquiry states. What's really interesting about this, and I'm going to have to go find it, so I'm sorry that I didn't have it prepared for today's conversation, but Joe Biden actually wrote an executive order, and I only know this because I've been working on an article for fucking months, years now, I guess, regarding Joe Biden's executive orders. But one of those is that you cannot politically or like contractually benefit people within the administration, like that has ties to the administration. So I'm going to go find that executive order at some point in time, and I'll come back to this. But anyway, okay. So the inquiry names Joe Kiani, who founded and leads Masimo, a global med tech company. Med tech, oh, shocker. Kiani has been a mostly Democratic donor for over a decade, giving a range of groups and candidates money. Mr. Kiani is a prolific Democratic donor, contributing over $1 million to the Biden Foundation in 2017, $750,000 to the pro-Biden super PAC, Unite the Country, and $1 million to the Biden Inaugural Committee. And now Kiani sits on the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. In addition, the letter says Kiani has received a range of federal government contracts. In addition to receiving that appointment, Mr. Kiani's company Masimo has received nearly $3 million in federal government contracts since January of 2021. Several agencies, including the Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Veteran Affairs, have awarded contracts to Masimo. While Masimo has received government contracts in previous administrations, Mr. Kiani's close ties to Biden, including an appointment to a White House board, creates the appearance that he is benefiting from his political contributions. Another donor, Lucas Walton's solar company, First Solar, in December of 2021, the company received a $500 million loan from the International Development Finance Institution, awarding lucrative government contracts to companies led by large Democratic donors is becoming a troubling Biden administration pattern and raises questions about whether political contributions play a role in the decision to award federal taxpayer dollars. Color me. Twitter's board has done an about face and is negotiating with Elon Musk over his bid to buy the social media platform, and a deal could be announced as early as Monday, according to media reports. Twitter and Musk negotiated into the early hours of this morning over his bid to buy the social media platform, less than 2 weeks after the billionaire first revealed a massive stake. The two sides are discussing details, including a timeline and fees if an agreement was signed and then fell apart. The people said the situation is fluid and fast-moving. Twitter had enacted an anti-takeover measure, known as a poison pill that I have discussed before, that could make a takeover attempt prohibitively expensive, but the board decided to negotiate after Musk updated his proposal to show that not only had he secured financing, but he was exploring a tender offer. The board has fiduciary duties to their stakeholders, and their quarterly numbers come out on Thursday. My guess is that those numbers don't look super hot, and they know that, and they're trying to make money while they still can. A plot to move almost a ton of methamphetamine in a shipment of strawberry puree got crushed when U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers discovered the concealed drugs. On April 12th, a Border Patrol officer assigned to the World Trade Bridge in Laredo, Texas, saw a tractor trailer arriving from Mexico hauling a shipment of strawberry puree and referred it for a secondary examination. After conducting a thorough secondary examination, which included utilization of non-intrusive inspection equipment, which I'm assuming is drug dogs, discovered 158 packages containing a total of nearly 1,761 pounds of alleged methamphetamine concealed within the shipment. The meth has an estimated street value of more than $35.2 million. This seizure of methamphetamine underscores the reality of the drug threat that we face at the port of entry and the determination of our frontline officers to apply the latest inspections technology coupled with officer experience to keep our border secure, said Albert Flores, who is the port director for the Laredo Port of Entry. I will be speaking with a Border Patrol agent this evening, and I will discuss this and much more with regards to the reality of the situation on our border and what some potential moves we could make as a country moving forward. That is your Monday edition of Everything Yesterday This Morning. I'm sorry that I went over my 10 minutes, but it's always a little bit longer after the weekend. I love you guys. I hope you guys had a great weekend. You guys take care, and I will see you tomorrow morning.